Hello, and welcome to Rebel Republic. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe.
Questionable. That's very questionable now.
Yes,
Very, very questionable after some
Very
of the things I've seen.
We had Lyndon Johnson on before.
Great, great guy.
Yeah, I got his number apparently confused with everyone else's. So, but he still would like to come on the show if you want him.
Lyndon Johnson or?
Yeah, Lyndon Johnson. He coached at Maryland with Randy.
Yeah, what was he confused with? You were confused with what?
I thought I was talking to Ambrose. I was on a group chat with the three of them, and I got their numbers confused. They're both 301 area codes.
Yep.
And
Lyndon was great.
Lyndon never talks to me, so
Lyndon's great.
I assumed it was him. I didn't assume it was not. I thought it was Ambrose the whole time, but I'll double check. I wanted to ask you because everything I read, there was supposed to be a ceasefire with Israel and Gaza, and Hamas refused to release hostages, and it caused massive hostility, and all peace and love and all that good stuff just vanished in a blink of an eye. And I was just curious as to who's responsible for that. Why did that happen? And was it a ploy all along?
That's a bunch to unpack there, Frank. Do you want that first, or do you want me?
I'll take it, Dave. I'm prepared. I'm prepared. That was like 18 questions all at once.
Well, I was just surprised because everyone was excited.
Bottom line, if anyone expected when they talked about a ceasefire and exchanging hostages and prisoners from the Israeli side to sort of expedite some sort of peace deal, if anyone thought this was going to be smooth sailing and was going to be an easy deal and was going to happen fast, does not know international politics and the tensions that have always been happening in the Middle East region, and especially with Israel versus all the other Arab nations. This isn't going to be some sort of handshake deal. This kind of treaty will take tons of time. There still are things that have to be smoothed out. We still need more exchanges of hostages and prisoners from the Israeli side. There needs to be some sort of peacekeeping force, I would think, or some sort of temporary stabilization unit to be sent there to be able to monitor whose side is doing, and I can tell you whose side is doing the corrupting or the problems, but there needs to be monitoring of this. And then there needs to be input from the Arab nations that are actually going to come in and drop $58 billion, which they've committed to rebuild Gaza. So this isn't just the U.S. and Trump running in and shaking a hand and saying, cool, guys, everything's back to normal. This is a whole restructuring, rebuilding, and almost from the Israeli side, they want some sort of guaranteed breakup of Hamas. They just don't want that organization floating around anymore. So this is going to be a delicate situation. It's going to take time. I am hoping and praying that it will work out. I think it will, but and something needs to happen within a structured time frame. Will it? No, it's going to take longer.
So I'm obviously.
Can I go quickly?
Your headphones will work now. I'm obviously confused.
Quickly expand on some of that.
Please do.
Yes. So I think I agree with a good amount of what Frank said. I think Frank's kind of in the right path on some of this stuff, a good amount of it. I think the fundamental issue at this point is that the Israelis have been patient with the expectation that the hostages would be released. The ones that are alive, that is, at least. And nobody knows exactly, and they have a suspected amount from intelligence of who is and who isn't, but they did not come through in that bargain. Trump, unlike Biden, said, hey, this is the deal. If you release these hostages, there'll be, we'll keep the ceasefire and work this thing out. If not, the Israelis have the right to do whatever they need to do. So whether you agree with that, what Trump said that or not, the bottom line is that the Israelis and Trump's group have a lot of trust from the prior time he was in, where they had a pretty good relationship. Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. So I believe that once that was not done, you got a situation where they're going to go in. The bottom line is Hamas has to be removed, and I think that's fairly well understood by most reasonable-minded human beings, at least in the United States and obviously Israel. But the issue stands. The issue stands that I don't know what this guy's writing about, but I'll address Manuel Cadre fuckboy. So anyway, so so as it stands, the bottom line is that Hamas has to be removed. If they don't comply, if they don't comply, Israel will continue to attack Hamas targets in Gaza, and that will continue until they release the hostages. And then from that point forward, then you'll be able to have a conversation about what should happen in the Gaza Strip. More than likely, if it is not Hamas removed, you have zero chance of anything working. If you remove Hamas, you have a chance. I do agree with Frank on that. There probably is going to have to be some cooperation with other Arab nations and the United States and Israel on improving the Gaza Strip, however that is going to be improved, so we don't continue to have continuous recourse. But the Israelis are not going to give up Israel. That is not going to happen.
It's never happened.
The United States is not going to allow that to happen. Trump is not going to allow that to happen. And that's one of the things that is a sticking point for obviously Hamas with Israel. And until that is removed, there's not going to be a chance there. I do not think that the Israelis should back down to anybody in this situation until there is a reasonable group in power that you could have a reasonable conversation with, and that is not currently the case. And it's very hard because now I'm not saying that Hamas didn't abuse it once they got into power, but Hamas basically did a situation where they were voted in. Now, I can't say that the elections were or weren't exactly the way they're supposed. I don't know any of that, but they were voted in. And then obviously once in power, they've slowly but surely created more of those issues. The problem that we have, at least from this standpoint, is that the Biden administration fucked this whole thing up so much. There's no other word for it. Between how he was going to figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
Muddling the two situations. Like, look, the Ukraine-Russia issue is one issue. The Israel-Hamas-Palestinian issue is a different issue. They have different issues in both areas, okay? And by conflating so much stuff together as to where people are like, oh, you supported this or you didn't support that, and you gave money to this or you should give money to that. Like, they're two different issues, have to be addressed separately, okay? And whether you agree with support financially or don't agree with support financially, you also have to understand the politics of each situation and how it will affect America. And Americans who don't understand now you could argue the value in the Ukrainian-Russian conflict of one party or the other. I'm not even talking about who's right and wrong in the Russia-Ukrainian conflict. I'm talking about the value in each country and what it represents to America's interests. You cannot argue that Israel and America are both democracies that have and republics that have a valuable interest to both parties.
Long-standing relationship.
Okay. And like I said, you could argue, like, there's a lot of people that think the Ukrainian government's corrupt. Okay. I believe it's a corrupt government. I'm not saying that the Ukrainian people are corrupt. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that they should have been attacked. They should not have. But there are two different types of issues in each thing, and they have to be addressed separately. Okay. And for people who are Islamic, who are of a position that they support Hamas, my question always is, what is it you support about Hamas? Is it the kidnapping of people?
The beheading?
They'll say, oh, the Israelis are doing that. They are not openly attacking citizens and going and raping and killing and beheading people. They are not doing that on a regular basis. Okay.
So Manuel Cadre, I don't think he likes us. He said, let's call a spade a spade. Both Biden and Trump are jokes. The real issue of what we have going on here is the simple fact that our House of Representatives is owned by a foreign lobby. Is that possible? How can our House of Representatives be owned by foreign?
I don't think that's the case.
They're talking about APAC money.
Oh, okay.
Probably.
And he also says, do you really think
foreign lobbyists? I think he means foreign lobbyists. Lobbyists, he's saying. Okay.
Yeah, but is that possible? Do we have foreign lobbyists?
Well, there are foreign lobbyists that politic for different countries. Yeah, just like there are for corporations that lobby for different countries for different things. I mean, you have lobbyists. Okay, what's the right? My eyes are.
Oh, so Manuel is very passionate. He says it's Marine to you. I'm sorry, Manuel. Marine Manuel. Do you really think,
Manuel?
Yeah,
okay.
Do you really think that Israel should even get a say about what happens in the Gaza Strip? At this point, neither Hamas or Israel's government is fit to care for their own people. Hamas and Israel's government are a danger to their own people. On another note, you do realize that a lot of the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip are descendants of the 750,000 people who were expelled from the north, right? Yeah. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Did any of you serve overseas, or have you just traveled? So are you calling us pussies and cowards?
No. Here's the thing,
Mr. Marine.
Here's the thing. Service or
just because you're a Marine, it doesn't make you an understanding of exactly what's going on.
He's very angry.
I'm glad you served. Thank you.
Here's the problem. There will never be a two-state solution. You will never see Israel vacate the Middle East.
Well, it's been a holy war.
So give me that's just what it is, and you can go back and pull out scrolls and scriptures and readings of who was there first, who was there second, who founded this, who got pushed out, who got sent in, who got brought in. But bottom line, the lines right now have already been drawn up, and Israel is going nowhere. The two-state solution will not happen because the Arabs will not accept the two-state solution. They say they will, they won't. Okay, so where do we go? Please, Manuel. So please give us a solution then. What is the solution besides saying Israel's not going to leave? And the Arabs are not going to give up the fight as long as Israel's there.
He says it's not the Palestinians' fault.
No, the Palestinians are called.
No, Hamas is in power of the Palestinians.
Right? They voted Hamas in. Maybe they had no choice. Maybe they had guns to their heads. They voted Hamas in.
We don't know.
But here's the thing: how can you back? Back a group of people where their leaders are in Qatar?
They behead
their leaders. Their leaders are not
present.
Right. They're in Qatar. They're in the safety of a different nation. How Israel hasn't sent headhunters out to Qatar in order to whack these people makes no sense to me.
Some of their leaders were expelled from Qatar. If I'm not mistaken. Now,
where's Qatar?
Did they move them? Did they move them to Dubai?
I don't know.
I mean, come on! All these Arab nations are a joke.
Is Qatar an island?
No. It's a peninsula. It's a peninsula.
Well, peninsula is an island.
No.
Is the peninsula the one that's surrounded by three bodies of water?
Yeah, think about Italy.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
No, I'm just trying to learn.
I'm sure you are.
So he said that there seems to be a misunderstanding that Israel is running to Daddy America. Are we? Is Israel?
Israel?
Are we daddy?
Israel? No, Israel to the United States serves a purpose.
If Israel was in a situation where they could have gone in, and if Biden didn't slow everything down, this would have already been mostly taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you could argue whether you would have liked that to happen or not, but that's the case. Biden, I think, overall has his hands in 7,000 different cookie jars, and when that's the case, he wanted to slow down Israel for taking. I don't know the exact reason why from taking out Hamas, but you cannot argue that if Hamas is not in power, there isn't a better opportunity to have a conversation. Obviously, as Hamas is in power, it's not going to change that the Israeli people are going to be.
Oh, he made another comment.
What does that have anything to do with that? Whatever. I mean, we weren't alive in 1776, but we do have laws from then. I mean, these arguments don't make sense.
Israel serves a purpose for the United States right now. They are the spearhead as far as information from the Middle East. Terrorists to follow and track, terrorist organizations to follow and track Arab countries that are planning things against the free world. So it could be whether against Europe or against the U.S. Bottom line, Israel serves a purpose. That's why the U.S. backs Israel. Well, whether it's money or whatever else it is, I don't think
he disagrees.
Obviously, Manuel just has a thing against Israel.
So, well, no,
that's okay.
He says that it was Netanyahu who funded money through Qatar to fund him to keep both the Palestinian factions purposely segregated. To keep both Palestinian factions. I mean, Hamas.
To fund Hamas?
Yeah.
So Netanyahu was giving money to Qatar to fund Hamas. Please show me that.
Or to keep the leaders there in Qatar. I have no idea. It doesn't matter.
It's called divide and conquer for a reason, he said.
We're not dividing and conquering
and we're
anything.
ignorant.
They're not dividing and conquering anything.
We're ignorant?
Bottom line, what they are doing.
I don't think I'm ignorant, Manuel.
Bottom line, what Israel is doing is what any sovereign country has the right to do. If over 300 of your fellow citizens are killed, and excuse me, a couple thousand are killed, and over 300 are taking hostage and brought to another area of the world.
Well, that's slavery.
No, it's not slavery.
Oh,
you have the absolute right as a sovereign nation to go in and what has caused that. Bottom line, number one. Now, if you want to go back and go tit for tat, the Israel did this to the Palestinians, the Hezbollah did this to the Israelis, Hamas did this to the Israelis did this to Hezbollah.
Okay.
Bottom line, you can go back and forth all day. Just realize this: Israel will never leave the Middle East. That is their sovereign land now. The Arabs will never take part in a two-state solution because they hate Jews. So give me a solution of what it is besides every 10 years it's got to get sparked up and people got to die.
There is no two-state solution that will work.
Until the entire Middle East backs off on the thought of the hate of Jews, then this will never. Once the Arab nations come together and decide,
and I don't know that they're ever going to change their mind in that.
No, there's too far of a divide.
Right.
Manuel, we thank you for the conversation. We wish you the best.
He says this.
We don't need to go out anymore, Manuel. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. I appreciate your input.
Yes, your input is valued, but I am not ignorant. Just so you know. You can call them ignorant, just not me.
I wouldn't say that.
Dave, I wanted your opinion because I read this and I was very surprised by it. President Trump removed Secret Service agents from Joe Biden's children. Do you think that was necessary? Do you think that's too much? I personally think that Hunter Biden needs the protection. I don't think you should pull his protection.
Well, okay, if I can answer that real quickly, I think that Hunter cannot make cocaine transactions while the Secret Service are protecting him.
Well,
so bottom line, you need to lower those guards so Hunter can go around and do his business. I mean, that makes total sense.
Yeah, but I mean, normally, like, does Chelsea Clinton, did she lose her Secret Service people?
I don't think she lost her Secret Service.
So you think it's just like more personal?
Listen, here's my opinion. I don't know anything about the situation. I'll just give you a blanket opinion. I know zero about it. Okay. Secret Service protection is a thing that I think, unless I'm wrong, that each one of the families seem to have. Okay. So I don't know anything about this topic because I haven't read anything on this or not. So if what you're saying is true and Trump removed that, I don't think that's a necessary thing to do. I feel like that, to me, and I don't know if it's just this is actually true. You're reading this to me. This is what you're telling me.
I'm reading it off of the news site, Fox News.
Okay,
that's why I was shocked.
I think that's an unnecessary thing to do.
Yeah, I agree.
So there are things that are much more important for Trump to take care of than to worry about that. So, like, and I'm obviously a huge fan of Trump.
Dave, I don't think he was worried about it. I mean, I think someone probably walked into the room and go, Mr. President,
want to get rid of it?
Secret Service detail for Hunter Biden and the rest of them. Fuck them. Next.
That's
hilarious. Yeah, maybe that is the case. Yeah,
minor details, minor things.
Yeah.
Manuel's not
I don't think it's necessary. I don't think
talk. Let him type.
I think it's fun. You know what? I'm glad he's passionate.
Absolutely.
He may not agree with us, but he's passionate.
Absolutely.
As far as I think one of the other big things, I don't know if you have this on your thing, that I think is interesting. Trump deporting the over 200 of the Venezuelan migrants.
Yes.
That I seeing them get deported, and criminals that have been running around rampant in our country.
Yeah, and taking over cities left and right.
Yeah.
You know the breakdown of that story, right? So before the judge could put the order in process, they knew it was coming about. As far as having the plane turn around or stop them from leaving, they expedited the flight and got those criminals in the air and got them out of U.S. space. They were in international waters when it was declared.
Right.
And that was Stephen Miller and Christy Nome coming together.
Right.
And actually, deciding to let's get this right away and get over with. And then they'll figure they'll fight it out in the Supreme Court on the way back. But they dumped those 200 back in El Salvador, where they dropped them off to, and came back for the next 200. So I think it's a genius move.
Yeah.
I think these people don't need judgments. They don't need due process. They don't need anything. They're illegal to begin with. They're criminals to second that, and they're violent criminals. And they were in prisons here anyways. So bottom line, round them up, get them out, get the plane back, keep it going. All I want to know is what time the shuttle leaves to El Salvador. That's it.
What do you think of this? The DOJ apparently had a filing that came shortly after U.S. District Judge James Boasberg ordered lawyers to court Monday for a quote unquote fact-finding hearing involving Trump's use of the 1798 wartime era Alien Enemies Act and whether the Trump administration knowingly violated his earlier court order blocking the Trump administration from invoking the law to immediately deport Venezuelan nationals.
That's what we're talking about right now. That's the whole gist of it.
Right.
Yeah.
They came down with that order.
They got him out.
They got him out of international space, so it didn't count on that.
Testify.
Right. Not testify. It's just those criminals are gone in international waters. Whatever they tried to pull out doesn't apply to them. They're done. They're out. Now, the next group that wants to get out, they're going to have to argue that, but they'll argue that in the Supreme Court. They'll get that right away.
It'll go to the Supreme Court.
It will be bounced on its head quicker than you can blink your eyes. It has to be, because bottom line, it is an existing law.
Bye-bye, migrants. Bye-bye.
No, it is an existing law.
If you and the hardworking people that are coming across legally, that's not a problem. Even the ones that are here that haven't reported but are working and are good citizens, haven't hurt anybody, that's fine. But you've got people coming into this country over the last 4 or 5 years. It's been a stream of people brought in, and we welcome them with open arms and give them money, give them shelter, give them assistance from the state and federal government. It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment to the American citizen who's struggling, trying to make ends meet, trying to get their life together, and the government's helping these illegals who are dangerous illegals faster than they're helping the Americans.
Dave, do you know a Jack Costin?
No.
Oh, he keeps asking if you can see him. No, Jack, he can't see you. He can only see your comments, just so you know. I wanted to get your opinion on this because I heard about it earlier and I just thought it was complete. Can you please explain what?
Stop reading all the stupid comments.
All right.
People write.
I know.
Okay, stop reading them.
I'm not going to read anymore.
If something you see that's interesting, obviously read it. If it's just somebody commenting something, you're giving a platform to people.
It's ignorance.
Who have no platform.
It's ignorance. It's ignorance. An Illinois mother has filed a civil rights complaint with the Justice Department after claiming that school administrators attempted to force her 13-year-old daughter to change in front of a transgender student in the girls' locker room last month. It caused severe trauma and PTSD. There's a Board of Education meeting for the Deerfield Public School District claiming that the incident took place and the daughter refused to change into her uniform during, obviously, physical education because a biological male student was present at the time. And she was chastised for doing such a thing. Well, and this is just going to continue to grow.
If you're going to honor someone thinking that they are the opposite of what they are, then you've got to honor the young lady who said, "I don't want to change in front of them."
I agree.
Everybody's wishes should be honored. Then
I agree.
How can you force one to do one thing and the other one you just allow to happen?
It's hypocritical.
Well,
it's 100% hypocritical.
What it is, it's soft coerced, brainwashed, liberal, way left liberal thinking. It's got out of hand. 5% of the population, we're coddling to 5 to 10% of the population that believe in this shit. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If listen, you want to be a transgender? I don't care.
But this is a 13-year-old girl.
I understand
You're
that.
A 13-year-old girl.
I'm just saying, if you want to be a transgender, that's fine, all that. But you can't push that belief onto me or onto anyone else that won't back that.
No.
Okay, so you're going to have to live in your own little bubble a little bit. No one's coming to persecute you. But bottom line, you're not going to be able to impose your thought process, right? Which is a mental, for me, it's just a mental imbalance.
It's mental illness.
You're not going to be able to push that on me or anyone else that I know.
Yeah.
All right. So we can't honor that. I apologize. So bottom line, I'm not going to have my daughter change in front. I don't have a daughter. I've got a son. But I'm not going to have my daughter change in front of a guy who's thinking to be a woman.
I just can't believe she's taking.
It's outrageous
for this.
It's outrageous, and it's that school board, liberal, college, upper, higher educated mentality that they've been brainwashed. We've had 3-4 generations of our adults that have been brainwashed with higher education, 8, 9, 10 years in college to get these educations that don't tell you shit about real life. It's all fantasy land. They're all living in fantasy land. That's it.
I want to get a flight there. And any flights to Fantasyland?
Fantasyland? Yeah. Just walk outside the door, take a few steps. There's always somebody trying to blow shit up your ass.
Dave, what are your thoughts about this? I mean, this lady, the girl and her mother are getting flack from the school because she refused to change in front of a biological male. She was visibly upset. She was disturbed. She cried, and nobody really helped her.
It's moronic. I don't even know.
It blows my mind.
Crazy? When I see all these comments, okay, there are things that are logical that people can debate argument-wise, okay?
Sure.
There are things that are illogical.
Yes.
This is among, by far, the most illogical things. And there's a lot of illogical stuff, and we just touched on some of the illogical things. This is another one. The left is filled with complete nonsense and bullshit. They feed their own bullshit. Everybody should walk around kumbaya and get along. Okay? Well, guess what? This group hates that group. And
that's
blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Like, you know what? Like, LBGTQRSTUV, okay, those people are nice people. Well, guess what? A lot of those people are fucktards too. Okay, there are plenty of good people that are LBGTQ whatever, but there are plenty of fucktards too. They're not immune. Unlike what the left thinks, there are people in all walks of life that are idiots. Okay, that do things the wrong way, that are criminals. Okay, the difference between the left and the right is the right understands that. The left does not. The left thinks because you're on the left that somehow you're immune to societal rules and laws.
Right.
It's unbelievably absurd. They're fucking morons on the left. Okay, if you're on the left and you believe all of these things that men, because they decide today they want to dress up and be a woman, should be able to undress now in the female locker room, you're a fucking idiot. A fucking idiot. You're an idiot. Okay, yeah. You want to slap some tits on yourself and go swim in the 100-meter breaststroke and beat up on girls in a fucking volleyball match because you're fucking a moron up top in your brain. You're a psychopath. Get the fuck out of the sports. You're an asshole.
You are a psychopath.
Okay, go play against men. You run a 5-minute mile as a man. You suck. You go run in high school as a girl. You're a champion. Give me a fucking break.
I love the Dave Chappelle skit where he was like, I know on the outside I'm a black man, but on the inside I feel I'm Chinese.
Right?
Oh,
That's more accurate, by the way. That is
Right.
more accurate.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Than someone thinking that they are a man, and that all of a sudden they were okay. I get it. Listen, if you feel like you should have been a woman and you were born into the wrong body,
You're
no
gay.
problem. No problem.
Right.
Live your life. You're not going into the female bathroom with other women while they're dressing for a sport.
Right.
It's not happening. You're not swimming in the 100 meters as a woman. You're a fucking man who has decided you're a woman. Now, listen, I'm not telling you can't be a fucking bird. Go be a fucking bird. Okay?
Yeah.
Go be a fucking bird.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
give me a
be a
break. I'm not
furry.
telling you can't. You just can't go into the female locker room and start wearing feathers, okay? And flocking around because you're not a fucking bird.
No.
Flocking around.
No, you can't. Dave, have you heard of Hunter College in New York City?
Yes.
Okay. Did you hear that they are basically reworking Palestinian studies professor job after Governor Hochul? She's one of my favorites. She directed the City University of New York to take down its posting over anti-Semitism concerns.
All right.
Governor
Let's
Hochul.
repeat what you read there because I'm confused by what you said. You said they took down a posting of a Palestinian what?
There's a Palestinian studies course offered at Hunter College,
Okay.
and there's a job opening for a professor. And Governor Hochul made the university take down the description for the position of the job because she feels it's anti-Semitic.
I didn't see that. What's the description say?
It doesn't say
description of the
specifically.
Come learn the hate of Jews and the plight of the Palestinians.
Yeah, yes. If that's the case, then yes, take the job description down.
Join us in room 236 this week as we bring to you
Yes.
Palestine.
Teach you how to protest and run around and yell Hamas.
We seek a historically grounded scholar who takes a critical lens to issues pertaining to Palestine, including but not limited to settler colonialism, genocide, human rights, apartheid.
That's it.
There you
migration.
go. They're talking about colonialism, genocide by Israelis.
Is that anti-Semitism?
These are the parking words for we hate Israel, we hate Jews. You know,
right?
Listen.
So
again,
you think she's right?
You want to go study Palestinian studies? We'll bring you over to Gaza. We'll put you right fucking there.
Absolutely.
And you and Manuel can go and study fucking Gaza.
That's it. Absolutely. It's fantastic.
So you think she was right to do that? You think that you think that it was anti-Semitic?
Well, I think she's doing that under pressure now. She did have a meeting with Trump. She did have a meting with Trump a couple days ago. So
I think if there wasn't all the issue with Colombia, okay, and when you look. There are certain things that, like, if your course, I'll read you a Palestinian course, that would make sense to me. All right, I want to teach you the history of the Palestinians.
Okay.
Would you like to learn about when the Palestinians originally came to the Palestinian area, whether it was occupied by Israel or not? Do you want to learn about what our culture is? Do you want to learn? Those are things. When you say colonialization and genocide of the Palestinians, you're not saying it about you're not accusing great I don't know,
to the Israelis,
South Africa of doing it. You're accusing one particular party.
Could I interest you in an application for Hamas?
Yes,
that would be part of the course.
Right.
I mean, actually, you know what? I would have respected it more if they just said that.
You're right. Just come out with a. How about today in Colombia, the protesters that are still there ravaging the campus?
They're still ravaging.
They're still
the
there.
campus?
Yeah, they're still there protesting and
At Columbia
a
University.
lot of paid actors. Yes,
Oh my God.
they put a couple janitors of Columbia University and they locked them in a room in a closet.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they locked a couple of janitors. Yeah, because they thought that the janitors were squealing on the protesters to the school administration and authorities as far as who's tied into Hamas and who's not. Or
What is Columbia University doing? I mean, what are they
Apparently
doing?
nothing. They're allowing it.
They are embarrassing. They are embarrassing higher education
because they're a liberal Ivy League.
They are embarrassing higher education.
Wouldn't they do it at Princeton?
There's a lot of liberal groups, and probably a lot of them would allow that, but I don't know. It seems to me that it's absurd that one of the best institutions in America would allow themselves to just so be like openly destroyed. My guess is they have a high level of Jewish people in the school. I'm guessing. I don't know.
They do, and they've been forced to hide and run in fear on campus, not even come to campus. Some have decided not to come back to campus because of what's going on, the daily torture of protesters. That a lot of them are paid protesters. You got to realize something. They have been shipped in.
Paid protesters?
Absolutely.
You can get paid to protest?
You can get paid to hold a sign. You can get paid to protest. You can get paid to march. I have no idea. You have to talk to your local DNC. Your local, your local DNC rep should be able to direct you in the right place.
Protest.
Yeah, and some are there, but the agitators are there. And the extras are jumping on, and then the fools are surrounding it. So the fools are those young college students that are buying into this and are joining a movement that has no gumption whatsoever. Not in this country. You'll have some crybabies and some protesters and some people that go against what is trying to be promoted as sane advice. In that, hey, listen, you can protest if you want to. Go get a permit. Go stand out in front of on public property and have your peaceful protest. But don't threaten and harass people that you feel are Jewish. Don't scare people from coming into the campus. Don't trash items or possessions on the campus. There are rules to be followed. So if you fall into the latter part and you're causing chaos and you're breaking stuff and you're threatening and you're scaring students, you need to be forcibly removed. And that's what's not happening. They're not using enough force to get enough people out of it. They arrested 11 or 12 the other day, but that was at Bernard College, actually, not even at Columbia. So they haven't done
Bernard is the sister college.
Right.
It's the female, originally, it's still Columbia.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So they haven't done their due diligence as far as cleaning up this mess. You want to protest? Do it in the right way. Got no problem. That's what the First Amendment is for here. You want to be violent about it? You want to scare people? You want to intimidate people? You got to go.
So I can come outside of Tony's and protest all day if I want.
All you want. Go get a permit first, though. If not, you're going to have to do it on the street, not in front of Tony's.
Dave, would you say that Israel
Tony's has a shotgun just in case you won't remove?
Better be careful. If the windowsill opens, I would duck.
Would you say Israel was a nation founded on blood?
I'm not even gonna entertain.
Well, I think all nations are founded on blood because they win wars to win their freedom. So it's perfectly normal to have wartime actions, and of course, blood is going to be spilled.
Israel was
your birth built on blood? Founded on blood? When you came out of the womb, was there blood?
I'll ask my mom when I get home.
It's the doctor. That's Dr. Kevorkian.
Yeah.
Israel was founded, by the need for relocation of millions of Jews that had gone through 6, 7, 8 years of physical and mental and economic persecution in Europe because of Adolf Hitler. So bottom line, they had millions of Jews. Where are we going to send them? Well, England owned Palestinian land, Israel. What is Israel today? So they decided we're going to move them back to their native. This was also claimed as their native land. So they moved them, relocated them there, and that's where they ended up establishing their own sovereign nation with the help of Great Britain. But bottom line, it was all done legally. It was all done with a purpose and a need. Okay. And this is what led to, or leading, or has led to this great Arab-Israeli struggle. The Arabs feel that they have been invaded by Jews who are illegally there. They feel like they're the illegal immigrants. And bottom line, that's where they were put legally by the British government. You know what? Hey, listen, there should be a holy war against the British government, not against the Jews.
Right. Wow.
How about the fact that the Jews were conquered by the Romans and forced out, were conquered by this group and forced out? It's no different. Like, I mean, you could go through throughout time, all the different things that have been done to many different factions throughout the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
There is one common place. There is one common thing that has taken history throughout time until from the beginning of time, that the Jews have been persecuted. That is one common place. There's no doubt about that. From the beginning of time, they have been persecuted. Okay, I'm not saying that every religion or Christianity has been persecuted at different points. Catholicism has, but there is one common that has always been the group that has been, from a religious standpoint, has been persecuted. Okay, it is the Jews, and listen, conquerors have conquered through different places around the world throughout time. Okay, you could go back to Alexander the Great and the Romans and the Greeks and many different groups that the British, okay, that have conquered many different groups of areas over the course of time. In some cases, their land has been returned to people that were originally conquered. In other cases, including where we live to this day, America, where the groups that came in here eventually conquered all of America, and you have America today. Now, can you make arguments in all these different cases? Possibly, yes. But there was one situation that was a nation of Israel. Okay. But many times they've been broken apart for many different reasons. Okay. Before it was Islam was a religion that was even in disagreement with the people of Israel. There were different faction groups that were attacking Israel that were different countries over time. And it's all kind of always been a turbulent area to begin with, obviously, because a lot of religions claim certain birthplaces associated with that. And your own religious beliefs dictate a lot of who you feel is right and wrong in this situation. But I could tell you fundamentally what is wrong. Going in and people driving into people's houses and sticking kids into ovens and cutting people's legs off and dismembering them, taking women and raping them and removing their body parts, because that's what Hamas did. That is exactly.
That all sounds fine, Dave.
I
That's
thought
what
you
they're
were
back.
I thought you were
That
going
all
to say
sounds fine.
I thought you were going to say the Nazis.
Listen,
Hamas did
Oh,
that?
what does that sound like to you?
October 7th. What do you think happened October 7th?
I don't know.
They
That's
did.
why I'm
You-
trying to
That's
learn.
a great point, Steve. You made that accidentally.
I'm trying to learn.
That's a great point. That is what it said. What does that sound like to you?
It sounds like what the Nazis would do.
Right. There you go.
Right.
So when you want to know why the Israelis are so up in arms, that's why you're up in. And listen, I just saw something. I don't know the history behind this, but I just saw something today in Ohio where one of the first all African American communities was formed post Civil War, to give them a safe haven. Okay. Neo-Nazi groups marched through the town, and then these It's all African, almost all African American community, and they formed their own groups to help people go to school so they feel safe. Armed groups, almost like an armed militia, right? And I thought to myself, you know what I thought? I said, if this is indeed happening, and the neo-Nazis and the KKK is marching through and making those people feel unsafe, and they want to have their own militia, who does that sound like? To be able to protect themselves within their community? Good for them. Good for those people. You know what? You want to fuck with them in their town? The neo-Nazis want to fuck with them? Good. The people from the African-American community will protect themselves if the police don't want to protect them. And that, like, I'm a big believer, and that's what Israel's doing for themselves. And that's a big believer if groups are doing that. It's the same thing when groups were roaming around during COVID and they wanted to people, and I'll use Seattle as an example, the whole craziness with Seattle that was going on, and this little formed nation these people formed and all this nonsense. And then they wanted to go strut into a suburban town that was on the border of Seattle. It's like right on the border, a pretty wealthy suburban town. Those people formed a line. You can't go down this street armed. Okay? To me, that's what you have to do to protect your people. Okay? Now, those are very much within the laws of our country, you know, those kind of things.
Very much so. Yeah.
And I think, no matter what the group is, whether you're Italian, whether you're Jewish, whether you're Black, whether you're Asian, whether you're Spanish, whether you're Catholic,
German.
you're Christian, you're whatever it is, if you are in a group, okay, and a group is fundamentally threatening you from nothing that you've done. Okay, you've done nothing but exist. Then you have a right to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
The Arabs since 1947, 45 when they got the 47, they made a decision. They will never, ever, ever let anyone get the upper hand on them again. And they will never, ever, ever give up fighting. The last Jew will die on Israeli land before they would surrender to another entity. There have been 5 Arab-Israeli wars in the last 65, 70 years in that region of the world, starting in 47. There are 5 Arab-Israeli wars. The entire Arab population, all those countries, all gathered together to send in troops from all different angles to try to rid themselves of the Jews. And they were unsuccessful 5 different times. So after that, what has it been? It's been terrorist incursion after terrorist incursion after terrorist incursion, rockets being launched in there, and Israel will not back down. Israel will be there forever. So again, I put it out to the audience or to anybody else who wants to back the Hamas terror that's been going on. Listen, again, it's been going on for decades. Give me a different solution. Israel is going nowhere. The Arabs will not have a 2-state solution because they hate the Jews. Give me a solution. Now, the only solution is this. The Arabs need to pull back on their hatred of the Jews. And since there's been a back and forth war for so many years,
it's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen because blood, talked about as a nation built on blood, there's been blood on both sides, and both sides can't forget the blood. And so they continue. It's almost like the old Italian vendettas. And that's it. And they're going back and forth, and they fuel themselves on hate and remembrance of their loved ones that were killed. And so somebody give me a different solution. There is no other solution. This will go on forever.
Dave, my Uncle Tom was visiting. He's watched the show and is a fan. And Frank has met my Uncle Tom. He's a staunch conservative. He wanted your thoughts because he thinks it's a great idea that Canada should be the 51st state. And he loved that you brought it up, and he just wanted to hear you expound more on it, if it would be a real possibility. He said, we do everything for them between, our military protecting them. They offer very little to us. And why wouldn't we just add them as a state?
Well, I don't know if Canada is worthwhile to add as a state.
Yeah.
If you were to look at it from a natural resource standpoint, sure, maybe there's certain things. I don't think Canada would be a good 51st state, and I'll tell you why. There's so many fucking liberals that live there that I'd have to deal with another state that's going to vote fucking blue.
They are liberal up there too. Oh wow.
Yes,
So-
very.
And they have the ability to be liberal because we protect that. You know, they don't have to worry about getting invaded or anything like that. You know, listen, Trump has a lot of flaws. He brings up some of these things in jest. It's interesting that people take offense to it, like the Canadians. Like the Canadians would have a fucking say if we wanted to have them as the 51st fucking state. I mean, that war would take one day. We would walk across, we would take the state of Canada, and they would be Canadian state of America. Give me a fucking break. Like, get a clue. Get a fucking clue. Same thing with Mexico. That would take 45 days because there's a language barrier. Take 15
and the cartels would be shooting too, so we'd have a little resistance.
Yeah, we'd have a little more resistance, right? They would be well.
My thing is this with Canada. Canada is
hockey.
a very small. Yes, Canada is a very small blip on the radar screen to us. Their dollar is worth 65 cents to our dollar. Their cost of living is through the roof right now.
It is.
They pay 55% in taxes. They want to talk about their medical system being fantastic. It doesn't cost them anything. Well, you can't get an appointment for 9 months to 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you're limited in who you can see. Okay, so don't tell me how fantastic it is when you can't get in. You're going to die before you see your doctor or have the surgery. Okay.
Now, I've heard Canadians say that their system is better than ours. Healthcare, not that ours is great. Okay, right. There is a problem with healthcare as a whole.
Correct.
I 100% believe that. I don't think I know the exact solution to this.
No,
it's a difficult problem that's gotten out of control.
Right.
I don't think the solution is what Frank just said, us having to wait 2 months to go see a doctor for fucking gonorrhea. Okay, give me a break. Like,
why does it have to be gonorrhea?
Are you trying to never get your attention, Steve?
We're just trying to say the things you've had in the past.
I mean, you're awake, Steve. I just want to make sure you're awake.
Yeah. No, but the housing situation, the regulations they have in that country to build alone prohibit them from building much needed housing. So their youth cannot. But number one, their youth cannot afford the housing. Their home cost is much higher than the U.S.
Is it because of materials?
No, they have the materials and all that. It's just the regulations, right? And the loopholes and everything that they have to go through. And then obviously it's the cost of living being higher. So everything costs a little more to build. They have a housing issue. They have a medical. For me, they still have a medical issue with their coverages. They have a taxing issue. If you're taxing people over 50%, that's an ungodly high. That's a European tax rate. Everybody's smiling over in Europe too. They're smiling over Europe, and they're getting ass rammed for 55% on their money and every dollar they make
with no lube.
Listen, I don't know what they use in Europe, but bottom line that, and also their money, Canada's money, has no value.
No value. Yeah.
So what? Why would we want them? What are they going to give us?
Nothing to the table.
What are they going to give us? We do a lot in trade.
They're just more people that we have to take care of.
We do a lot in trade, and the trade imbalance is upside down. We're upside down in the trade war. Why do we want to be upside down?
Better than us. And I guess now our trucks are going to go up 15% or something.
Yeah, let it go up. It's all right. We're going to outlast them. We're going to outlast.
Open up Pittsburgh again. People want to work. Open up Ohio again. We'll make steel here again.
Absolutely.
You don't want to make the trade imbalance fine? We'll make steel here again.
And what's come down the last month? Egg prices have come down. Gas prices have come down. He talked about this, about lowering these things are lowering.
Milk.
And there's they've across the board, many items have come down in price from where they were when Trump came into office the first day. Okay, so, and many of these things were inflated because Trump came into office, because a certain segment of the country just hates the policy and hates the man, and they're going to keep that. They don't. It doesn't matter about profit. Some people do it for spite.
Right. But I can't remember if it was my mother who brought it up. Wall Street, though, hasn't corrected itself yet. Correct?
No, because Wall Street is going to tell you that they are always hesitant with the uncertain.
Oh,
so his screaming of tariffs is really putting the stock market a little hesitation, because people don't know where to put their money yet. Right. By April 2nd, by April 2nd, companies will know where to put their money, because that's sort of a deadline to where all the tariffs are going to be either going to land or the implementations are going to happen. So bottom line, that's sort of a cutoff point. Okay. And then companies will feel a little more confident. No matter where it is, companies are going to feel more confident. They're going to feel more confident about investing in a country that's investing in itself. Right. They're going to be able to make more money with smart decisions and with American labor. Is the labor going to cost a little more? Yeah, maybe. It definitely will cost a little more than subbing everything out to another country. But quality of product will be better. More trade internationally will be better, because we're going to be sending other countries desperately needed products that are going to be better than what they're buying right now. There's going to be a higher rate of employment in this country with better paying jobs, because these manufacturing jobs, factory jobs, are not going to be cheap.
So here's a simple thing for the countries overseas, okay, from a tariff standpoint. With the trade imbalance, you've made oodles of money, okay? With the trade imbalances, even like China, where you get like, if you get some of your Temu products or some of the cheaper things.
Shine.
Temu comes from China?
Temu's, I think it's China. I don't know if the company's China, but a lot of the products that are on there are Chinese. My point is this.
I love Temu.
So do I. Okay. So here's my point.
I thought enormous.
They have gigantic margins. Things they're making are so cheap.
Yes.
So the bottom line is, don't tell me that they're not making a 200, 300, 400% on these products. Okay.
They'll swallow the 10% tariff.
That's exactly right, Frank.
Yeah, they'll swallow it.
Swallow it.
Most of them will. Most of these companies will. They're going to pass a little bit on. They have to. And the rest of it, they're going to swallow. And so now what that's going to do.
And they're also going to be cheaper than every other product in America. So if you still want to get your Temu products or your cheaper Amazon stuff, you're going to be able to get it. Okay. Right. The problem is, we're not going to just allow these trade imbalances where we get the short end of the stick on everything.
Yeah.
Right. And no, American companies, they're gonna find other providers.
Well, I don't want
if your tariffs are 25% or 50% on us coming in from buying certain things. Listen, so the egg thing, the Canadian egg tariff was crazy. So we went to Turkey and we bought, I don't know, 40 billion eggs from Turkey.
Well, I thought it was the bird flu that caused the egg thing.
Well, the bird flu did, but now when we have to sub out, we killed our own chickens.
Oh, that's correct. That's what Biden's solution was. Their fucking moronic solution was to kill the chickens.
Six chickens had the bird flu. Kill them all. Kill them all. Now they're talking about vaccines for the chickens for the bird flu. Fine, I got you. But, it's a little too late. Now, granted, we're going to rebuild that stockpile of chickens up that can produce eggs.
I hope
it could be a 6 month or 1 year. Yeah, it could be a 6-8 months. But right now, you've seen egg prices lower because we have bought eggs from different distributors, because we're not going to pay the tariff. The tariff got passed on to the eggs that we were buying that we couldn't produce. Exactly. That's all it is. It's a trade game. And listen, Trump is not dumb. All right?
No.
Economically, he's not dumb. I don't care what any of these people say. You don't like him, bad man, orange hair, talks like a child. Gotcha. Yeah, he insults people. Yes, he's got orange hair. Yes, he has a low tolerance for people that talk back. Yes, he wants to be stroked. He wants to be said he's the big guy in the room, right?
His hair is orange.
But bottom line, you have to understand something. The guy didn't get to where he was in business. Oh, they say, well, he started out with millions. Yeah, he started out with a few millions. He turned into like $7, $8, $9 billion.
Right.
That's not bad. right? No matter bankruptcies and no matter changing of guard and no matter any of that stuff. The guy knows business and he surrounds himself with people that know business,
Yes.
right? Big business. Not like selling, chewing gum on the corner or lattes out of a truck. This guy understands and gets people around him who understand big business. And the idea to drive big business, you have to have big ideas and you have to take control of the playing board.
Right.
These tariffs are allowing him to take control of the playing board.
Dave, I just had wanted to ask you, my Uncle Tom again, he was here. He likes the show.
Or Uncle Tom.
He's white. He's a white Italian. But he wanted to know your thoughts on the Gulf of America, being called the Gulf of America. He thought it was great and hilarious, and he thinks that it's perfect. Do you think it's the right move?
Sure. The more things you can name after America, the better.
Yeah.
Do I care one way or the other?
It's not going to make a difference, right?
I don't really care.
Well, it does make a difference.
It does?
Absolutely.
It does make a difference in the sense that there's a pride factor, as you see, with the Gulf of Mexico that the Mexicans have about the Gulf of Mexico.
Well, the Mexicans let all the illegals into our country, so they don't get that pride.
You're missing the big point.
Oh, go ahead. Go, Frank, because I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the reason it was named Gulf of America was because in the waning hours of Joe Biden leaving office, he signed a whole bunch of executive orders that banned drilling, banned explorational research, banned anything to do with the oil industry in the Gulf of Mexico. U.S. couldn't do it.
Well,
Trump changes the name of Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America.
So now
all those things are go find. Where's the Gulf of Mexico? Ain't there no more.
So he outsmarted the
Brilliant, Frank. Brilliant.
I think it's a genius idea. I think it's one that needed to be done. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to see is that every executive order that Joe Biden signed may not be valid.
Well, because he was mentally incompetent.
No, that had nothing to do with it. It was because he was using an auto sign pen.
Oh, the rubber stamp.
Correct. Yes. So realistically,
he never really signed it.
It looks like he was never around signing these executive orders or these documents that they would bring in front of him.
Dave said they gave him
an
ice.
True?
That is true. That is true. They said the only one that he actually signed with his hand was his letter pulling out from the race and allowing Kamala Harris to actually go in and run as the candidate elect.
Forced to do.
Right. So now you're talking about pardons to his family are going to get thrown out. Who's going to get pulled into the investigation again? Family.
Well, they just said they're taking the Secret Service away from his family.
Well, that's step one. Well, he got pardoned. He got pardoned from his father pardoned him from any tie.
Hunter got pardoned?
Correct. He got pardoned by his father.
And
so now this will just open up the door to be able to open up investigations if needed to be able to tie in where money was coming in from overseas to the Biden family if they need to pull that trigger or not.
So if I got in trouble in New Hartford, could my father pardon me?
No, he's not the Pope of Greenwich Village. He can't do it. Nope.
He probably wouldn't do it anyway.
He would not do it. You would be thrown to the wolves.
Yeah,
absolutely. You'd be skinned alive, as we say.
Dave, my last question to you: if you had to pick one person, either Joe Biden or myself, to solve the Israel-Hamas conflict, who would you pick?
Well, it definitely wouldn't be Joe Biden.
So it'd be me by default, basically.
Yeah,
can't be him. It can't be him.
I could do a better job than
Biden.
You don't even know what's going on.
Neither does Biden.
You know who I would solve? You know who I would choose? I would not choose. Well, let me put it like this. Steve, you'd have to get more educated on the topic, and I don't know.
I would though. I try.
I don't know. I don't know exactly where you stand, but I can tell you this: even you not knowing very much about the ins and outs of it, I would believe at worst you would go into it naive and fuck it up from your naivety, whereas the Israelis would clean that up for you because you wouldn't know what the
Yeah,
fuck's going on.
They'd cover for him.
Whereas Biden will purposely stop any possibility of a solution.
Right.
It
And
almost-
just make it worse.
It'd almost be better to have you in the case that basically, if you didn't know what you were doing, you would be powerless to stop anything. So, it would end up being a situation where
They would just bring in Joe to auto sign the document. That's it.
My uncle was the county legislator. The lady who took his spot decided not to run this year. I want to run for county.
I also would be hopeful that your dad would step in case of
bitch slap him
of incompetence to take over of power of attorney, and then make some good decisions.
Yeah, he may already have that. I'm not sure exactly.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. Then you know what? I definitely would go with you.
My son takes the 5th.
All right. Well, another banner episode of Rebel Republic. And thank you, Marine Manuel,
thank you for coming on. There's a couple other people that commented. I don't know if it was bad.
There was a lot of comments. There was a lot of comments.
But Manuel was definitely the most prominent.
Manuel was on fire, man. He had some passion. So for the voice of reason himself, Frank Cristiano.
That is me.
And the coach, David Schumann. I am Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw